Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. As always, we're going to start off with my schedule. This weekend, I am in Pleasanton, California at Tommy T's Comedy Club. And next week, let me get my schedule up here. That's May 9th to the 11th. And happy Mother's Day to everybody out there this weekend. If you want to give your Mother's Day a nice gift, why don't you come bring up the Tommy T's and come see me. And then May 16th through the 18th, I'm in San Antonio, Texas at the Laugh Out Loud Comedy Club. May 23rd through the 25th, I'm in Dallas, Texas. Well, Addison, Texas at the Addison Improv. May 30th through June 1st, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona at Stand Up Live. These are some great cities, man. All these cities are some of my favorites. That's what's dope. June 5th, I'm in Tuscaloosa, Alabama at the Bama Theater. June 6th through the 8th, I'm in Dania Beach at the Dania Improv in Dania Beach, Florida. Then Father's Day weekend, just like I have been the last couple years, that's June 13th through 15th. I'm in Chicago, Illinois at the Chicago Improv. Well, it's Schaumburg is what it is, because people in Chicago be like, that ain't Chicago, that's Schaumburg. All right. You got it. Then June 19th, I'm in Des Moines, Iowa at the Des Moines Funny Bone. June 20th to the 22nd, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri at the Kansas City Funny Bone. June 26th through the 28th, I'm in Charlotte at the Comedy Zone. And then July 12th, the big one. Pearl Theater inside the Palms Casino. I'm coming, baby. Coming to Vegas July 12th. So try to get there if you can. Now, last week I was in San Diego, and it was like a class reunion, man. I ran into so many people from my past, my old flag football team, the Piranhas. They came out. We just had it was cool, and I stayed in Mission Beach this trip to San Diego. And it was just so dope to stay by the ocean, to wake up in the morning and go get brunch, go get a coffee. I always say the coffee hits different in California. I don't know what it is about the weather out there, but California mornings and a nice hot cup of coffee or a Americano, it just hits different. It don't hit different enough to pay the taxes and the cost of living out there, but it still be hitting different. It was good. So shouts out to everybody who came out. We did 7 shows at Mic Drop Comedy Club. It was just a great weekend. I went by my old apartment that I lived at 30 years ago, from 95 to 96. God, I can't believe it's been 30 years. And the apartment, it was still there, still had the swimming pool that I used to bring the girls over. I used to tell girls, like, yeah, come over, bring a bathing suit. They say, you got a pool? I go, yeah. I didn't tell them it was the apartment pool. But then they come over, and I was telling the manager, Casey, there, it was funny, when I lived in the Navy, when I lived at this apartment in the Navy, I had 2 roommates, right? And I think our rent at the time was like, I think I was paying like $300 or $350 a month, because I think the rent was like $1,000 and something. But one guy paid more because he had the master bedroom. And one of my roommates at the time, he was a very good looking dude, and he always had a little more money than I did, and I couldn't figure out why. Like, I drove a S10 pickup. He had a Ford Mustang. He always had designer clothes. I was wearing like New Balance jean shorts, and not even the real polo shirt. I was the one with the little 2 flags on it. So I was always like trying to figure out, how's this dude got more money than me? And then I remember one day I finally asked him, I was like, Rob, how you how you got more money? It seems like you got more money than me. Like, what do? You got another job? I think I asked him, was his parents rich? I said, man, is your parents rich? And he was like, all right, man, I'm gonna show you something. Then let me specify. Rob was a Puerto Rican dude, very good looking dude. Like, I say that because every time we went out, he wouldn't just pick up girl, he'd pick up the baddest girl in the club. And I was always like, dude, this guy be pulling him. He was real ripped up, good shape, young guy. And he takes you to his room and he literally gets in his closet. He pulls out a chest and he just starts pulling like little sections of the chest out, right? Clothes, different things. And then I remember he had a lock on the chest. And like it was one of them chests where you lift up and then he's just taking all drawers of the chest, right? And then he points, and I look down, there's a nudie magazine, and Rob's on the cover, and he's standing like this. He's just naked, but he's got his leg in front, like, he's standing like this, like, and I'm going, what? Wait a minute. And it was like in some foreign language, like in Germany. So he goes, bro, I go up to LA once a month. He goes, they pay me $5,000. He goes, and I take all these nude pics and they just release them in Europe. He goes, dude, I'm fucking huge in Europe as far as like a nudie male magazine dude. And this is before there was the internet, but internet was just starting. So you couldn't just find stuff like this. And he didn't use his real name. He used some alias. But I guess the guy would pay him. He'd take the new pictures and he'd come back down. And that's like $60,000 a year. Keep in mind, at that time, we were probably making $35,000 a year in the Navy. So he's literally making twice as much taking these nude pictures once a month. And they're not in the States. And the Navy didn't know. And I feel like I can share this story now because it's 30 years later. And I was just thinking, now I go, oh, this makes perfect sense. That's why you got all this extra money. But I wasn't expecting you to be doing like basic playgirl in Germany and Russia and Czechoslovakia and stuff like that. I was like, so these magazines are like sold? He goes, yeah, they're like at the airports and newsstands and stuff, because I don't know if it's still like that, but when I first started going overseas 20 years ago to do shows and stuff, I just was so shocked that they would have like the nude magazines just at all the magazine stands with all the other magazines just out in the open. Like you literally open a magazine and see nudie pictures. So he was like, yeah, that's how he made his extra money. And that dude, bro, real cool. But man, I just remember chicks were always coming in town for him. Like at one point, his ship, he was in the Navy with me. So the ship he was on went to Hawaii. And he was leaving town for like 2 weeks. The ship was going to do train exercise in the middle of the ocean. And I was on shore duty. So he goes, yo, I got this girl coming from Hawaii on Friday. He goes, I'm not going to be back till Saturday night. He goes, can you pick her up from the airport and like take her out Friday? I go, yeah, no problem. And looking back on it, I hadn't been burned by guys then. So, and I didn't know there was the concept of going behind your boy's back and messing with his girl. That just was so foreign to me at that age. I didn't know guys did that. So the fact that he trusted me so much, like, go get my girl. Because I'm sitting here, and this is before 9/11, so you could actually go to the gate and just wait for somebody. Like when they're playing it, you were waiting for them to come off the jet bridge. I'm getting there, and this drop dead Asian chick gets off the plane. All designer shit. All Louis Vuitton and everything. And it was like, I was just thinking, what? I got New Balance on. I got jean shorts. I got a t-shirt that probably said, Navy on it. I shouldn't be with her right now. And then she gets off and I'm like, hi, are you so-and-so? And she goes, hello, and then took her back to our place. she got ready to go out that night. I took her out. She's bought all the drinks. We had a great night of partying. And she kept saying, you got to come to Hawaii. My girlfriends will love you. You're so funny. You got to come to Hawaii. I'm like, motherfucker, I make $30,000 a year. When am I going to Hawaii? I can't just catch a flight to Hawaii and pay for a vacation. But she was real cool. And then Rob came in the next day and we all went out Saturday and partied and stuff. And that was like I lived with them for a year. So this probably happened 4 times in a year that I had to meet a girl and hang out with her until he got back in town or he was on the ship and he didn't get off work in time. Because for some reason, my hours are a little more flexible and I work nights a lot. So usually I can pick people up there today because I either went in at 6 p.m. and I worked at 6 a.m. But this happened quite a bit. And I was just thinking, yeah, that guy was a beast. That was a good beast. It's so funny because I did Schultz's podcast last week. I did Flagrant. And I was sharing the story of my my first roommate when I got to LA. And I wish I wouldn't have labeled him like drug dealer. He was I wish I wouldn't have said that. Like he did sell stuff and he knew drug dealers and stuff, but he wasn't like some drug kingpin like I feel like it came across on Schultz's podcast. He was a dude nobody messed with. He was, he had girls. He was bringing girls in from Vegas. That was all true. Everything I said was true. It just got portrayed like I was living with a drug kingpin. I think I was just living with a dude tapped in to everybody, legally and illegally. But I was thinking like Rob got a lot of girls, and I was like, and he got a lot of girls, and I went back to an old apartment, and then I was thinking about some of the stories of my roommate that first year in LA that I didn't share with Schultz and them, because I feel like it was another side of me that people didn't know, that I did live with a, I guess you could call him a drug dealer. He just wasn't a drug kingpin. And he did more than just deal drugs. He did other stuff too. But there's a couple stories like I just left out. There was one in particular that I remember. People used to play basketball in Laguna Beach, and it was like a half court, and it sat on a cliff. And I remember one day, me, him, a couple of his nephews, a couple girls, we all loaded up. He had a big SUV. I had an S10 pickup. And I just remember I had somebody in the passenger seat of my S10, which was a 2-seater. And then we had like his 2 nephews and 2 of their friends in the back of my pickup. I'm just rolling, we're looking like Mexicans basically. I got 6 people in this S10 pickup and 4 of them in the back, the bed of my truck. So we get to Laguna Beach. And at that time, people play 4-on-4. So we get there, and there was it's mostly white dudes. There's a couple black dudes, but this one team was just beating everybody. They weren't coming off the court. And I had a bad feeling about playing this team because I'm looking at, it was me, my roommate, and 2 of his buddies. I was the shortest guy, and I'm a tall dude. I'm like 6'2", 6'3". So I was the shortest guy out of the bunch, and it was 3 brothers and me. So I had a feeling we were about to run shop, and everybody could hoop. I was definitely the worst one on the team. But it's one black dude that was on the team that kept winning. He was a shit talker. He's talking shit, and he's punking a lot of the white dudes, basically. We finally get our next run in. We start playing. We start winning. Now we're blowing these dudes out. And at one point, I go in for a layup, and we're probably up by 5 or 6, and the dude just shoved his forearm, and I go flying. And the minute he did that, my roommate, he was like, "Hey, motherfucker!" And then he's like, they get each other's face. Looks like they're about to throw. Because they both had their fists up. Like, it's weird. Like, LA guys and prison guys, they fight a certain way. Like It's like they're rolling their hands all the time. I can't explain it, They're not moving their head, just, So they're jockeying, they're in each other's face. Nobody's pushing each other, but they're like, what you want to do? What you want to do? What you want to do? And I just remember my roommate took off his shirt, and I don't know what tattoos he had. I know he had Compton like this on his stomach, but he had other ones. When he took off his shirt, he goes, all the brothers went, ooh. And the dude he was fighting was like, hey, it ain't about all that, bro. It ain't about all that. He goes, no, it is about that. So I don't know what was on his chest or what was on his stomach that told people, be careful. But clearly something said something. And then I was like, it kind of got diffused. The brother kind of backed off. And then we ran the courts the rest of the day. We never left. Fast forward to that night. We go to Glam Slam, which is Prince's nightclub in L.A. Why is the dude there? The dude is there that almost got in a fight with my roommate. And I'm going, fuck. I was always the peacekeeper, I felt like. I was always the guy like, I don't want nothing to happen. So my roommate was having a great night. I think we were celebrating his birthday. I think it was his 34th. I think it was his 34th birthday we were celebrating. And he was like, he was having a good time. And then when he saw that dude, his face, and he got locked in. And I was like, shit. So I went to the dude and told him, hey, man, just go talk to him, please. Say something. So the dude went. He got a Hennessy. They got him in them almost looking wine-looking cups. I don't know what you call it. That you see the brothers drinking the Hennessy with. He brought that shit over to him. He goes, hey, man, my bad about the day. It was squashed. And my boy was like, yeah, we good. And then they talked for a little bit. I was so glad it got squashed because it was like, oh, shit. I thought this shit's about to go down to Glam Slam, Princess Club. I was like, oh, fuck. So thank God that went away. And then people kept saying, like, Andrew ran clips of me telling stories about my first year in L.A. And people was like, well, if he's a drug kingpin, why's he got a roommate? I was like, listen, he didn't need a roommate. He got a roommate because he was leaving. Originally, he asked me to house sit. So he was leaving town for a month or two. And he just needed someone to look over his house. And me being white, he was like, oh, I get 2 for 1. I got somebody looking at the house, and the guy I got living in the house, nobody's paying attention to him because everybody around him was white. Even though the houses weren't super close together, you had to drive up a hill in Bel Air, and there was you get to know people like passing cars. So this just made it like, oh, white guy's living there. Till he came back. Because the thing is, I was house sitting, this big old house in Bel Air, and I just remember he wired me money on Western Union, and he told me for this epic July 4th party that I talked about on Andrew's podcast, he asked me to go pay like the DJ, go pay security, go pay catering. And I remember I was driving all over LA and paying all these people this money. And that's really why I was naive in the beginning, because I thought he made his money bodyguarding and throwing parties. And when you see this epic July 4th party that people had to pay to get in, this wasn't like you just showed up. Nah, our driveway went down. So you pulled up, you were at the top of the driveway. It was, let's just say $20. It was $20 to get in. And they had like dudes up there waiting. And I was like, so I thought, oh, I have no concept of money at that point. I'm thinking, oh, that's how he makes his money, throwing parties. And then he bodyguarded for some NBA guys and stuff. So I was like, that must be it. I didn't know. I'm naive. So that's how this is how I thought he made his money. Little did I know. But yeah, that's just a couple stories. And I told the Kobe story on there about the one time I met Kobe and my buddy kind of ruined the moment there. And here's what's funny about this guy. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Blue Chew. Listen, everybody in this world wants to be delivering the package in the bedroom. All right? I know I do. And I'm always looking for a little help. Any which way I can get a little advantage, I'm going to take advantage of it. Blue Chew's going to give you that advantage. Hey, baby, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, right? So listen, what you don't want to do, you don't want to go into a battle and your gun's not fully loaded. So Blue Chew's going to load that gun up, baby. Hollow point. Yeah. Just piercing through everything. So if you want to have, I don't know, best sex of your life, who doesn't? Yeah. You might want to use Blue Chew. So listen, this is what we want to do. All we want to do, we want to make your life easier by getting harder. And you want to discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of Blue Chew free when you use promo code GETSOME. All you got to do is pay $5 for shipping. That's promo code GETSOME. And visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And as always, we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast. I mean, I can share his name. I said it's Scott King. He was a good friend of mine when we was in the Navy together and from Dayton, Ohio. And there's a couple funny stories about Scott. He had a cousin that came in town from Dayton, Ohio. And I think his cousin played at Miami of Ohio basketball. And this dude could jump out the gym. So back in the day, and I don't know if I'm still like this, but I'm kind of reminiscing here, going down memory lane with San Diego. Back in the day, on Sundays, at the very end of Mission Beach, it would be nothing but black people. It was just the hangout spot, but they had a court where people play basketball, full court. And this is what I definitely know. If you're a white dude and you start playing basketball with a bunch of black people, especially in an outdoor court and there's girls and guys and it's kind of a party vibe, as a white guy, if you can hit your first shot, you're good. You just got to hit your first shot. Not a layup, I mean a jumper. 3-pointers even better. But if you can hit that first shot, the black people are going to look at you different. You're going to get picked up. You can miss the next 10. But if you can hit that first one, black people be like, oh, white boy can play. White boy can play. Guaranteed. So this is why I bring that story up. Scott's cousin's in town. Same Scott that freaked out when he saw Kobe Bryant. His cousin could hoop. His cousin could jump out the gym. We start playing. His cousin comes down and cocks the ball back. Bang! Threw it down. I was like, oh, I didn't know he could do that. I hit my first three. People think we a dynamic duo now. No, we're not. He's LeBron. He's Kobe. He's Jordan. I'm the fifth guy on the bench that's getting in scrub time. But I hit my first three, so everybody thinks we together. And I was throwing balls up, and he was catching them. Why that? And keep in mind, San Diego, outdoor court, yeah, guys are pretty good, but you're not dealing with NBA guys here, okay? So, but there are young guys, and they're pretty good. We ran that court like nobody ran that court all day, to the point that when I came back without them, they were fighting for me to be on the team. They'd be like, hey, you got old boy, you got old boy. I mean, and I kind of blended in. I didn't embarrass myself, but I think people started to realize, oh, this guy isn't as good. It was the other guy. So, little. That is true though. If you're a white dude and you start playing with brothers, hit that first shot, you get all the respect in the world. Hey, this podcast is brought to you by Magic Spoon. Now listen, I got introduced to Magic Spoon during the pandemic. And I'm not going to lie. During the pandemic, I was eating everything and anything. I didn't care what was in it. I was just stuffing my face. And then I was like, I just got to take better care of myself. And I started asking around, and it's crazy. A friend of mine had Magic Spoon at their house. And I go, what's that? And they go, you don't know Magic Spoon? It was like, it's good. It's a cereal. I'm a cereal eater, and I tried it. I liked it, and now look where we are. Magic Spoon's on my podcast. Who knew? So listen, when it comes to cereal, when you're eating Magic Spoon, every serving of Magic Spoon high-protein cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs. And they come in all your favorite flavors: fruity, cocoa, and frosted. And I love me some cocoa. And if you don't want to eat cereal, you don't have to all the time. You can also eat Magic Spoon's high-protein treats. They are crispy, they're crunchy, they're airy, and it's an easy way to get 12 grams of protein while you're on the go. Now these bad boys, they come in mouth-watering flavors like marshmallow, chocolate peanut butter, and dark chocolate. And I told you, I like me some chocolate. And they're great on-the-go snacks if you're working out, pre-workout, post-workout. Scarf one down, yeah. And listen, it's also a good way to have a midnight snack so you don't wake up feeling guilty. Yeah, so handle that. So we got a special offer right now. You get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com. Just put /get some. Or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/get some. See, so good I'm getting tongue-tied. And get that $5 off. All right. Thank you, Magic Spoon. I'll tell you a crazy story about Scott, though. I used to always stay at his house when I went to San Diego. When I first moved to L.A., I would come down and I would stay at his house. And he was dating this crazy chick. We all knew she was crazy. And crazy and hostile. Scott breaks up with the girl. I'll make sure you guys are following me here. So he starts dating a new girl. But the old girl still wants Scott. We're sitting in his house one day, and like me and he had the same two cousins that we were hooping with were in town. So this must have been the same weekend, or they came in town a couple times. No. That's not what happened. The cousin that could hoop, he had a brother. So the brother had moved to California, and he had one of his buddies over the house. So that cousin from Miami, Ohio, and Dayton, Ohio, he had left. So the three of us were in there watching TV, and Scott was in his room. All of a sudden, Scott comes out of his room, and he's got this girl kicking and screaming. And his ex-girlfriend was little. She had snuck in through his bedroom window and, like, I don't know, just start going off on Scott when he was in his bedroom. And so Scott's carrying her, not hitting her, nothing. He's carrying, but she's kicking and screaming. And she's not very tall. And then he basically pushed her out of his house, and they're cussing each other, going at it, arguing and stuff. And she leaves, and Scott was like, "Man, that girl's psycho, man." And we was like, we're literally watching TV, and then we look over, and we see this girl getting dragged out of his house that did not come through his front door. And we're like, "Where'd she come from?" And he tells her, "Man, she came through my window. She started hitting me. Psycho." I was like, it was just a lot. 30 minutes later, cops her. And I was like, we're all looking like, no, he didn't. And so they, it was, it wasn't like a crazy scene. The cops weren't being assholes, but they put him in cuffs. They took him away, and his cousin started to freak out. So we had to get his bond. It was $2,500, and so I think I had $3,000 in my bank account at the time. So the bond was $2,500, and his cousin and his cousin's friends started freaking out. They were unplugging his TV, and was like, "Yo, we're gonna sell the TV. We gotta go to a pawn shop. We gotta get this money up." I said, "Bro, we're not about to sell his TV and his couch and his furniture, because we had to get him out that night. If we didn't get him out that night, he was going to have to stay all weekend in San Diego jail." So I just went, you know what? I'm gonna roll the dice here. I'm gonna trust my boys are gonna pay me back. I went to my bank. I took out $2,500. I went down to the police station. I bailed him out, and I just remember we got him out like an hour to spare. If I'd have been there an hour later, he was going to be in there until Monday. So I just remember I wasn't on BT yet, but I think I had recorded Comic View, but I hadn't aired. But around San Diego, people were starting to get to know me a little bit, like because I was the white guy that did all the black shows, and I had a little heat on me in the city, so to speak. And people knew I recorded Comic View, but So, anyways, I just remember when I went to the police station, one of the cops recognized me, and it was a female black cop, because I remember she recognized me, and she was really being very cool to help get Scott out pretty fast. Scott gets out. I'm waiting for him. He realizes I'm the one that bailed him out. He comes up, and I think he meant to kiss me on my cheek, but I turned and faced him without knowing, because he just gave me a big hug. I think I realized motherfucker thought he was gonna be in jail for the weekend. Now he's out, and I bailed him out. And I looked, and motherfucker kissed me on my lips. I was like, what the fuck? He goes, bro, I'm sorry. He goes, I don't know what I was doing. I go, bro, how fast? What happened in the last 6 hours since you've been in jail? I was like, they turned you that fast? But it was just one of the things where he hugged me, and he wouldn't do this because the brother was damn near in tears when I got him out. And then I turned, it just happened. I probably shouldn't have shared that story, but I was like, what the fuck, bro? And then but I'll tell you about this dude right here. This is all you got to know about Scott King. The same guy that kind of freaked out with Kobe, that did nothing wrong, just had a psycho girlfriend that we come to find out later. $2,500 it took to bail him out. Every time I saw him after that, he'd always put money in my hand. It might be $50. It might be $100. It might be $20. That brother kept an active tab in his head of how much he owed me. And I am not exaggerating. I am not lying. Every time I saw him, and I saw him a couple times a month. It's not like we went a long time without seeing each other. I wouldn't have to ask. I wouldn't have to say a word. He would walk up, come up, shake my hand. There might be a 50. There might be 100. And he'd look at me. He'd be like, 1900, 1850. You know what I mean? 1785 now. He never, ever let me go without putting something in my hand till he paid it back. He paid me all $2,500 back. Took about 6 months, but he did it. And I just like, I wish more people was like that. That's why, and I've lost touch with him, man. So I actually kind of hope he watches this podcast, because it's got me reminiscing a little bit since I did Schultz's. I haven't thought of that name, Scott King, in forever. But I hope if anybody knows him, knows where he's at now, or watches him, I guess I could find him on Facebook. I got to see if there's Scott Kings out there. Let me just check real quick. Since I'm here, I'm going to look it up on Facebook and see if I can find his name. Because life be lifing, man. I put Scott King, and Google said Coretta Scott King. No, Scott King. Not Google, but Facebook. Oh, man, there's quite a few Scott Kings. Oh, shit, I found him. Oh, fuck, dude. I found him. Look at that. No way. Yeah, he's not on here a lot. He got 2 posts. One from 2020. Yeah, 2 from 2020. Oh, wow. Yeah, he got 2 pictures. That's crazy. I got to get a friend request in. See options. Yeah, I got to reach out. Yeah, he was a good dude. That was a good brother right there. Yeah, I got to look him up. So anyways, yeah, it just had me reminiscing, man. Being down in San Diego, doing Andrew's podcast and all that. I just wish more people were like that. you know if you borrow somebody, if somebody does right by you, and especially when finances are involved, you just pay them back. I don't understand those people that borrow money and just don't pay it back. Here's one thing. If you borrow money, 9 times out of 10, and people that lend money, just know you're probably not getting it back. I wish people would say that. Can I have? Don't say, can I borrow? Can I have? And if you do say you borrow money, it's okay to you reach out and tell the person, look, I ain't got it yet. I know I told you to pay you back by this, but I'm going to try to pay you back by this date. And just don't leave the person hanging, man. That's the worst. I told the story about a year ago of Frank Holder. Oh, this dude. And I've shared the story, but I can share it again in a shorter version. It was like, God, 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. This dude named Frank Holder, who runs this thing called a Humor Mill magazine. He said he was going to get evicted from his house. He needed $4,100. He was damn near crying, and he said, "Look, I'm gonna lose my house, man. I need $4,100. I'm gonna lose my house." And he asked if I could loan it to him, and I literally told him, I said, "Well, $4,100 is a lot, and how you gonna pay me back? If you can't pay your rent, can't pay your mortgage, you're always gonna be playing catch up, But he did websites, and he did he had his own comedy website. He said, "Dude, I can build you a website, bro. I'll be a bomb website where you can put your schedule on it, sell merch, all that other stuff." He goes, the website alone will be worth like $15,000, $20,000, but I'll do it for you since if you loan me the $4,100. To me, that actually sounded like a good deal. I was like, all right, I can pay him. He'll build my website, and and that's worth it because you're gonna pay. Websites can be anywhere from like $2,000 to $25,000, depending on how detailed and intricate you want it, how animated you want it. So, long story short, he never did the website. I gave him the money. When it came time to do the website and I start meeting with him, he starts sending me over like templates or something. And I go, "What is this?" He goes, "These are templates. You got to pick out a template." I said, "I don't know none of that shit." And then you show me it, and I'll tell you what I like and what I don't like. I don't know anything about templates. I don't do this. He goes, "Yeah, but I'm different, man. I do shit different." And I was just like, it got so bad. I think what bothered me the most was how he used to speak to me. Because before he needed money, he was very polite, very humble, everything. When I loaned him the money, so he didn't get evicted from his house, when I would talk to him about the website, like, I don't know what a template is. The way he talked to me was like I was stupid. And I was like, you should know this, or, well, figure it out type deal. I was like, who the fuck are you talking to? And then it kind of went away. And then he did the bitch move. On Twitter, he was talking on Twitter about his magazine and shit like that. And on Twitter, I hit him up and I said, for the public to see, I said, "Hey, man, you ever gonna pay me back?" And then he called me and he was like, "Yo, don't be coming at me like that. My name is, you're messing up my name. You're messing up my business." He goes, "And by the way, I know you tried to sleep with one of my models." I guess he had models at some point. I don't know, doing photo shoots and stuff. He goes, "I know you did." And I was like, "What?" And I didn't know what he was talking about. And he goes, "But I could go tell your wife that, but I'm not going to do that. But I could tell your wife you tried to hit on one of my models." And I was like, "Oh, he doing bitch shit now. Oh, he doing bitch shit." And so just kind of let it go. And then I had a new web guy at one point, and I said, "Hey, call Frank." And I almost did it for like shits and giggles. I said, "Call Frank, tell him you're my new web guy, tell him you want to upgrade my website, and meet with him and see if he'll do it because he still owes me $4,100. My new web guy goes to meet with Frank, calls me. He goes, "Man, that guy's an asshole." I was like, "What?" He goes, "He was talking to me like I was stupid and da-da-da." So I called Frank and I said, "Bro, I'm trying to settle this $4,100. And this is like probably 2 years later. I go, what is the problem working with my new web guy? He goes, oh, he just doesn't know how to do shit. He did, and he started putting them down. I said, well, you know what he does know how to do? Pay his rent on time, save enough money to pay his mortgage. He knows how to do that. Oh, that motherfucker was irate. And so that's the story of loaning somebody money and it going wrong. And when I told that story about a year and a half ago on my podcast, Frank like made a whole post and everything. And the post was funny because he admitted to everything. And then he said, I tried to pay him back. No. I said, are you ever going to just pay me back? He said, man, I wired $20 into your account. $4,100. He said he wired $20 into my account. And I couldn't find it. So I said, well, send me the routing number of the wire. He couldn't find that. I said, bro, I don't have a random $20 deposit in my account. Now, I was getting petty because I was like, oh, for me to see $20, I probably wouldn't notice it, honestly, initially. So, because I'm not going to go to my account and see a $20 increase. Be like, oh, shit, it's balling. Somebody put $20 in my shit. So I was like, dude, you got to show me where you sent it because now I'm getting petty. I'm actually going through my bank, looking at my statements, and I don't see a $20 deposit from anybody. So he said, well, I said, just call your bank. Give them the confirmation. And then give me the confirmation. He said, well, no, we moved, and all my bank statements were in a box, and I'm trying to find the box. I go, you can't call your bank and digitally. This ain't 1981, bro. I'm talking this stuff is going down 10 years ago. And I'm just like, this dude here, he's something special. And I'm sure he's going to see. And just like I said, if you know Scott King, tell him to reach out. If you see this and you know Frank Holder, please share it with him. I'm sure he'll make another post. Because the funny part is, he admitted to everything, but he still never paid me back. And still never tried. And then I had other comedians tell me he did the same thing to them in a different fashion. So this dude was a borrowing fool back in the day. It's the classic LA fake it till you make it. Yep. So I hate it even gave him any shine, but it is what it is. Frank, your name precedes you. You have a reputation and you're living up to it. If you ever just want to pay me back a little bit, just let me know. I'm all ears, brother. All right. There we go. So, anyways, in addition to my podcast and this one, watch Flagrant. I did that with Andrew Schultz last week. That's really good. And then me and Nate Jackson have our podcast coming back. And you should really watch this week's episode with me and Nate because like all good friendships, all good business relationships, you're going to have some differences sometimes. And me and Nate had a difference. Nate is one of the best at crowd work. And he said people were messaging him and saying, I'm kind of taking his style a little bit. And I was like, huh? You know, when it comes to crowd work, one of my biggest videos ever on YouTube, you look it up, just type in Gary Owen and Dusty. And there was a heckler in Dayton, Ohio. His name was Dusty. And I scorched the earth with him one night. And this was probably 20 years ago. And it was one of whenever it got posted on YouTube, which was probably 2008 or 2009, it just went through the roof. Like I still get people stop me today about that video and me roasting Dusty the way I did. But Nate has taken it to another level. Like when he goes on the road, he lights up the audience. He's got his camera guy putting people in the audience and talking about them. And I always said, like, when I saw what Matt Rife did on TikTok, Nate does on social media, Joe Coy, anybody that does is recording their sets, I'm looking at it like, I got to start recording my shit. And it's not necessarily just crowd work with me. It's like dated material I want to get rid of. And so I wore a Astros jersey last month when I did Houston. Keep in mind, the only jerseys I have are Houston Astros, Cincinnati Reds, and Cincinnati Bengals. That's it. Those are the only things I wear. And Nate was like, I think people were like, damn, Gary's taking your style because he's doing crowd work and he's wearing an Astros jersey. And I think Nate felt some kind of way because the first of the month, I always do an Off the Dome. It's kind of a crowd work compilation. And we pick a city that I have my camera guys with, and we splice it together like 30 minutes of different crowd interactions. And this one, I happened to be wearing an Astro jersey. And so I think that's where it came from. And Nate just felt some kind of way. And we were talking about it. I said, Nate, no, I look at you. I look at Matt. I look at Andrew Schultz. I look at anybody that's doing it. And I go, okay, what are they doing? I should be doing that. And I don't mean taking what they do. I mean, I need to have camera guys. I need to film me doing crowd work. I need to film me doing a joke off the top of my head if it's not crowd work. And I kick myself in the ass that I didn't do it earlier. But camera guys cost money, and you got to spend money to make money. No different than I didn't sell merch the first 5 years of my career. I kicked myself in the ass for that. Why wasn't I doing meet and greets? Why wasn't I selling T-shirts or DVDs at the time? And I just look at all the money I lost after shows. And it's the same thing when I'm on the road. If I ain't got camera guys with me, there might be magic in the audience, or something might happen, some current event that I talk about on stage, and I didn't have nobody there to record it. So I think me wearing the Houston jersey and on the cover of my crowd work compilation, I think that's where Nate got a little triggered. And we had a nice little back and forth. So watch the Gary and Nate podcast so you could see it. All right. Well, don't forget, this weekend I'm at Tommy T's in Pleasanton, California. And July 12th, I'm going to say it again, July 12th, Vegas, Palms Casino. All right, y'all. This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast.
This motherfucker Gary.